My name is David Kale, and I'm a graduate of the University of Utah, and now I specialize as a business consultant. And I'm so excited to be back on campus at the University of Utah today, and specifically at Lassonde Studios. Now, Lassonde is a hub for innovation and student entrepreneurship. And today, we're visiting a student company called No Consequence, founded by student entrepreneur Braeden Riley. We'll be looking at his business, seeing what improvements can be made, and building out a proposal for him to take his business to the next level. Now let's go check it out. Hey Braeden.
David, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
Thanks again for being with us today. As you know, we're here to kind of look at your business and see, what can be improved and provide that proposal for you. So I was wondering if we could go sit down and chat for a bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect.
Cool.
Thanks so much for sitting down with us.
Yeah.
Again, I want to know a little bit more about your business, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But I kind of want to know a little bit more about you. As a founder, you're a student at the University of Utah. What are you majoring in right now?
So I'm an operations and supply chain major here, which is very useful in terms of getting products off the ground. But a lot of it has taught me about kind of operational thinking, about kind of setting up companies the right way, which is, very useful in entrepreneurship. I feel like I'm like any other college kid. People always say it's the best 4 years of your life, which really gives you a lot of FOMO. But I've tried to get out there. There's 35,000 kids on campus at this point. And, I've started joining clubs and, I'm on our school's a cappella team and, you get to meet a lot of people.
Being a Lassonde resident has a lot of resources towards, entrepreneurship and especially student entrepreneurship. How do you think that's helped you get to where you're at with your company today?
Well, I came into the university at the start of my college experience, really knowing that I wanted to create a company, be an entrepreneur, have a startup. But I really had no idea what I wanted it to be. I started in high school by doing a tech repair business. And then the second company that started as I came to the university was all designed on building a better startup, kind of in response to that. We really worked with students in the university space and also other entrepreneurs in the Salt Lake Valley. And so a lot of what we were trying to do was help people start up a business better, do it a little bit more streamlined, not have unnecessary costs, and really begin to build a company that has a solid foundation before they start to, develop their operations. And a lot of what No Consequence is about is built off those same teachings. We want to focus on doing things the right way. And that applies to caffeine consumption as well as, developing a business.
You started with helping other businesses do the thing, and then it ended up you kind of doing the thing yourself with No Consequence.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about what was that spark that kind of made you shift from helping other companies create and do all their paperwork, finances and whatnot to, I'm going to do this myself?
As a college student, giving consulting advice to entrepreneurial college students, I started to realize that there was a really big issue for energy. And by energy, I mean any way you can get caffeine, any way you can get that boost, coffee, tea. But for college students love energy drinks. And one of the big issues with energy drinks is that they have way too many calories, way too much sugar. And if they don't have that, they're typically way too overcaffeinated. And so I would have friends of mine complaining about the kind of crash they would get after having an energy drink with like 200 milligrams of caffeine. And like they'd feel great for a second and then they'd feel terrible. And there had to be a better way. And so we created No Consequence as a result.
If there was one big lesson that you've learned within developing No Consequence, what do you think that would be?
We've learned a lot about what our brand should be from getting other people to try it. I mean, we moved very fast. It took us about a month from the start of the company to placing our first production order, but we really didn't know what we were doing at the start. And figuring out what people liked and why they liked it has been so valuable. And, having something in hand that we can show to people has really helped us along that journey.
So speaking of your product, you brought two today.
Yes.
So I'd love to try it on camera.
Yeah.
Tell you what I think. So I'm going to open it.
There we go. Yeah. The flavor, like a citrus, apple, a little bit of caramel at the back end right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll let you know my honest opinion.
Cheers.
I really like it.
Yeah.
I do. So kind of a little shameless plug for you right here.
Yeah. No,
I mean, sugar-free, 5 calories. So I know you kind of mentioned it earlier, but you're really big on the whole idea of no crashing.
Yeah.
So scientifically, what's kind of going into that so you avoid having that crash?
So in terms of our caffeine per ounce of liquid, it's one of the lowest in the market. One of our big things is making sure that we stay at a moderate amount of caffeine, but that's only half the battle. A lot of companies put in similar supplements and vitamins like vitamin B6, B12, niacin, taurine, pantothenic acid, a lot of big scary words that effectively help stabilize that caffeine. A lot of the issues with over-caffeinated drinks is that those ratios are off. So, for example, in a lot of other drinks that have 200 milligrams of caffeine, they have the same amount of niacin and taurine as us, but because that ratio is off, there's not that stabilization. And when it's time for the come down of the energy, you kind of get more of that crash.
If you had any goals that could come from today, we're going to be looking at your kind of operations and what's going on behind the scenes and consult when it comes to those deliverables. What would you like us to kind of tailor it towards?
So a lot of what I'm looking at is making sure that our pitch and our company is ready to break through from that college space. We have a very specific pitch lined up, and our marketing program is directed at college students. And so we want to make sure that our operations, our advertisements and marketing, and then, the way that we sell the drink is designed for companies on a regional supermarket and convenience store scale.
Gotcha. So kind of looking to break free from that college aspect.
Yeah. I mean, I would never abandon university. It's been very good to me. But it is, I think, time to start exploring other opportunities off campus and making sure that we can help people get the clean boost pretty much all over Salt Lake.
Gotcha. Almost like the energy drink itself is graduating.
Yeah. I am in my senior year, and I think that it's time to take this to the next step.
Perfect. So we'll definitely look at that as we go about today. Kind of what I want to see next is your operation. So if we could take a look at where you're storing and how you're delivering and chat about that.
Perfect. Yeah.
Sweet.
Let's take a look.
So this is kind of where you store everything?
Yeah. This is where our pallet currently is. It's nice. It's on campus, so it's pretty easy to take a look at and grab inventory for. We're at about half a pallet left, so 4 or 5 stacks, which should be just enough to get us through the semester.
Gotcha. So are you tracking anything, like when you take out inventory? Are you tracking that, or is it just through the invoices?
We definitely track the inventory.
Okay.
A lot of it is manual right now. We're running off an Excel spreadsheet, but as our inventory increases, we want to start getting that more solid. So we've been taking a look at a few options, and I think we'll probably pull the trigger on shifting to a better inventory management software by the end of this month.
Gotcha. Yeah, so this gives me kind of an example of where you're housed at area. Would love to see, there's one spot you're on right here.
Yeah, like in this building makes it really easy to do.
Okay, let's go check it out.
Cool. This is one of our most, revenue producing hubs. We have a lot of university supported marketing here.
Gotcha.
People like the space, they know what we're doing, and we table pretty frequently. So this is where we get a lot of our sales from. But it's not just like the majority. We get a good amount of sales every week from the other spots on campus and at a few differing price points.
Gotcha. So where are you at right here?
So you can see here is the drink section for Miller Cafe. We've gotten a few sales since we started. Right here's where we keep our product.
Okay.
Forgive the mess. Looks like someone was buying it, which is a good thing. And we usually have three or 4 cases out here at a time. And people can buy them right over there, and that's effectively the model. There are a lot of other energy drinks around here, but we have some pretty good brand placement, which is nice.
Gotcha. And so traditionally, looking at the other markets on campus, this is kind of what similar setup?
Definitely similar. Some of the markets have more convenience store style, which I like quite a lot. And we're actually trying to get into a few of those late night options, which is like a 24/7 vending machine style, which will help us kind of have around the clock opportunities for students to buy.
Perfect. So now I kind of want to go sit down and we can talk numbers and see kind of where your business is at data-wise.
Perfect. Yeah, let's go into it.
Let's do it. Well, thank you so much for taking us on that tour.
Yeah, no worries.
So now I just kind of want to get into more the nitty-gritty side of things, right? When it comes to your company. So how many places on campus are you right now?
So currently we're selling in 4 locations on campus. It's 2 residence halls, the campus store, and then in one of the business building cafes.
From the retail perspective, are you making revenue when students buy it, or are you selling it outright to those distributors?
We sell it outright. So we sell it wholesale to them. Some of the companies we have net 30 agreements with, but others we just sell it directly and then invoice the same day.
I'm assuming you're selling per case.
Yes, we are selling per case of 12 cans.
And what are you selling that for?
So we're selling each case for about $30.
Okay.
That's $2.50 a can.
Does it vary from the distributor side of how much they sell to students?
We usually shoot for around 60 to 80% markup for them.
Okay.
Which sets, in most cases, around $3.75 a can.
Okay. And one of the things that I do want to make note is that some of these locations, students can use meal transfers and meal dollars, essentially.
Yeah, and that's a double-edged sword, because it's great to have kind of a customer base who can reliably access our product and enjoy what we have, even at a slightly higher price point. But it also means that we're not fully sure about our actual demand off campus, especially because the purchase motivations are very different when you have a meal plan versus you're just using your bank account.
Do you get that data when it comes to purchases? Can you pull that data where it's how people are purchasing it and how many?
Not exactly.
Okay.
We can tell demand based off our reorder amounts.
Okay.
So we've recently gone from about 70 cans a week to around 90, 90 to 95. And that's been really positive for us, motivated by either weather or, people are going back into their second midterms and getting ready for the final season, or just simply people are learning more and more about our drink.
And what are your margins look like when you're selling it to the distributors?
Yeah. So that typically depends on our delivery costs, but it costs us about $16 a case to produce 12 cans. And that goes down to about $1.17 if we're doing it at the proper scale, which right now we are. And then with additional shipping costs, it brings the total cost to make a singular can to around $1.50.
Okay.
Which we then sell for $2.50. Our goal is to reach about a pallet a month in sales by the end of this upcoming school year. Around the end of Q2 2026, we would like to be doing a pallet a month in sales.
And how many are in a pallet?
That's 208 cases.
208 cases.
And, we'll have dry months. It's going to be looking to be about 2.5 to 3 months before we run out of inventory.
Okay.
So we're at like 3 months at 4 markets. Achievably, if we get to about 12 markets, I think we'll hit that pretty easily.
So I guess let's talk strategy, right? You want to get to 208 cases a month. What are you currently doing or see yourself doing to get to that number?
So a lot of the big issue is placement. We have 2 very strong performing markets, and which are Lassonde and Epicenter. Student places on campus. They do great. College students have really taking a liking to our unique differentiators. Some of the other markets, are a little less trafficked. They're a bit more designed to be study spaces and therefore have lower sales.
What are you doing to kind of grow that volume? Are you focusing more and more on marketing? Is kind of where you're aiming towards?
On campus, absolutely.
And what does that look like for you?
A lot of it is tabling, special events, which is nice because usually we get a stipend or some assistance from the university to sell that, in addition to university publicity. And a big part of our brand campaign is keeping an active social media, as well as providing, online posters and in-person, pamphlets and stuff like that.
What are some additional costs that you guys are incurring that we need to think about, when we look at sort of scaling your business?
One of the two big concerns is distribution and warehousing.
Yep.
Those costs get progressively cheaper, at least per can, as we scale up. But at the moment, we've had the benefit of storing our product at Lasan Studios. It's a licensed food area, so it has all the regulations to make sure that we're actually able to store our product. But more importantly, as we grow from that, we have to pursue other manufacturing options that are off campus. And then that goes into the delivery issue. Because we have 4 stores that are selling quite well on campus, it also gives us the added benefit. We could do same day, easy deliveries. I mean, I've taken my car around and got it done in like 20 minutes. It's pretty quick, even as large as our campus is. But as we get off campus, as we start to pursue convenience stores and regional supermarkets, one of our big concerns is being able to actually fulfill the orders, whether they be to a distribution facility that the supermarkets or convenience stores use, or direct store delivery, which is very common in our case.
To the scale that you're thinking of, do you think that your sort of mini warehouse here can facilitate that distribution side of things?
For now, yes.
Okay.
But as we scale up, as we go from 1 to 3 stores off campus to 5 to 12, which would be around our goal for a pallet a month.
Gotcha.
We'll have to explore other options.
Now I want to talk about like the big piece, right? The hard part is getting people to know the brand, know the product. What are you doing currently for marketing? I kind of want to see what your current state's at.
Something that we've been really working on recently. We have an Instagram. It's sitting around 100 followers, not the most persuasive at the moment. But we've been really working on building out a content calendar. We've been looking into hiring independent content teams and getting videos and films made of that. My brand manager, she does a great job at kind of covering all that and building out that catalog. At the moment, we have 5 or 6 posts, but we're trying to build twice a week. One of our goals is to, in concurrence with the pallet a month model, we would have around 1,000 followers.
Have you run into issues where distributors won't take you on as a customer until you hit a certain amount of followers? Is that within the industry?
It's a very interesting situation. A lot of our motivation for developing followers is to have that industry recognition. Buyers will look at your profile and it will really kind of influence them off if the product has any traction, any movement. Social media works as a great demand test for customers because people get to see it and show interest pretty easily and freely. And so while we want to make sure that people can see the product and kind of get involved in the online space, a lot of what's driving us to increase our social media following is to make sure that we have that recognition that brands can appreciate.
Outside of, social media marketing, is there any other marketing that you want to focus on, or is that kind of, your primary focus when it comes to growth?
Well, we've been developing our website recently. We want to make sure that that's an accessible place for people who have questions or, just check out our SEO, make sure that we're public and available so that we're not listed 40th in 50 search results. But beyond that, we want to also have a very in-person presence. It's something that's a lot easier kind of at the small scale, and then when you're large, you can do it really easily. A lot of energy drink companies have in-person events and experiences. So while we're small, we want to be able to table, get people knowing about our product, and specifically reach out to the people who live in Salt Lake Valley, all around Utah, in fact, and be there to answer questions and fill in any gaps that our marketing might not be able to publicly.
Perfect. So I kind of want to recap just, I was looking at it through kind of 3 pillars, right? Operations, finance, and marketing. Marketing really is going to be the big thing here that kind of grows you. And so kind of what I'll do from here is I'm going to take a look at all this information with those 3 pillars in mind and provide a recommendation for what you guys should do when it comes to those 3 aspects. Again, focusing really on that marketing and what that strategic plan looks like per area.
Yeah, I mean, we're working on it currently, but developing those structures and finding where the weak points are will really help us kind of fine tune that process, not just when we're pitching right now, but also in the future.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me, and we'll be in touch.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody. David from the future here. Now, I wanted to sit down with all of you and build out the proposal for No Consequence. We're going to be looking at the current state of the business based on the data and interviews that we had. We're going to be looking at the key goals and deliverables set out for us. And from there, we're going to be building that recommendation plan. Now, let's look at the main goals that Braeden had for us. The first main goal, and overarching goal for that matter, is to break the university bubble. Braeden is currently on campus with his energy drink and is looking to expand into the Salt Lake City region. The second goal is to get to selling 208 cases or 1 pallet a month. The third goal is to get to 1,000 followers. And finally, the fourth goal, although not mentioned on camera, is to find an inventory tracking software that connects directly to his payment platform. With these goals in mind, let's take a look at current state. If you remember in the interview, I mentioned that we'd be looking at this through 3 different pillars: operations, finance, and marketing. So let's start with operations. Braeden is currently on 4 different spots on campus, and that is Lassonde Studios, the Epicenter, the campus store, and the business building. Now, Lassonde Studios and the Epicenter are the main revenue drivers as they are residential locations. Also, No Consequence's warehouse is housed directly underneath Lassonde Studios. This allows Braeden and his team 20 minutes or so to fulfill all these different locations. This is something that we're going to have to take into account when we talk about expanding this operation. Now let's look at the finance side of his business. Personally, this is my favorite lens to look at businesses through. So Braeden is selling cases of No Consequence to his distributors for $30. It costs him $18 per case. This nets him $12. Braeden then mentioned that on average, customers, in this case students, were paying $3.75 a can set by his distributors. Now this number will be important when we talk about marketing, but now let's look at volume. Braeden said he's selling 70 to 95 cans per week. We'll take the average of that and say 82.5 cans per week. Assuming 4.34 weeks per month, we have a volume of 330 cans per month, or 27.5 cases per month. Looking at his gross margin, this calculates to $330 per month. Finally, let's talk about marketing. Now remember that $3.75 mark that customers were paying for? This goes into the concept of willingness to pay. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't know the willingness to pay when it comes to the energy drink world. So I had to do a little bit of digging. And I found an article posted by ASU. And in a study they did, they wanted to figure out what really affected willingness to pay when it came to the energy drink space. And what they found out was that it wasn't necessarily the branding of the energy drink, but rather the functionality of the energy drink backed behind the branding. So No Consequence is in a really good spot for this because their whole idea is energy that doesn't entail a crash out at the end. So when it comes to their marketing campaign and how they market, they should really be focusing on this aspect of their product. So I want to see how they're doing it. So let's look at their website and their Instagram. So first, website. Looking at the start of their website, they say energy for everyone. They have a little paragraph, and this is where they talk about that all too common caffeine crash. In the next paragraph, they talk about the no caffeine crash out. Moving further down the website, they have all the different vitamins and minerals that are in the energy drink, some product photos, a store locator, and then their Amazon link. They have different pages talking about their story, contact us, product, and a store locator. So all in all, a very general website for the energy drink. Now, moving on to the Instagram, and this is really where we want to see the product culture kind of shine. We see 5 different posts at the time of filming this video. They have different advertisements regarding the University of Utah finals week, their Amazon link, and then a TikTok reel talking about the operation. So that's one thing that we're going to need to look at when it comes to this deliverable. If No Consequence wants to expand, they need to build a solid marketing structured campaign around the functionality behind their brand. I looked at the cost of warehousing in Salt Lake City, and it ranges from $1,069 per month in rent to $2,130. And this doesn't take into account insurance, warehouse staff, delivery drivers, and all the other added expenses that No Consequence is not seeing today. Currently, as it stands, if you remember in our finance section, No Consequence's gross margins are $330 per month. So I'm going to confidently say here that they're nowhere near that benchmark to expanding outside the university bubble. But what I will say to that is that they can get there. So I'm going to change that deliverable just a little bit. Instead of looking at what they need to do logistically to break that bubble, I'm going to look at what they need to do marketing-wise and financially prior to them breaking that bubble. I'm going to be looking at what does that line look like of when they're ready to break. I want to recap everything that we talked about. We talked about current state through the 3 different pillars. We talked about the goals that No Consequence has. And we talked about the limitations of those goals and really focusing on the university growth aspect. So with that, I've developed a 3.5-part proposal for No Consequence. The first part will be a marketing and sales strategy. Now, this is really the meat of the proposal because in order for No Consequence to grow, they need to grow at their home base, at the university. The second part of the proposal will be operational tools that they can use to boost their efficiency. And the 3.5 part will be what does No Consequence have to look like data-wise in order to warrant them expanding outside of university? And the half part of that is what does that potential rollout look like? Now, I think we have enough information to take to Braeden, so let's go to him and see what he thinks. Hey, Braeden.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. So thanks for meeting up again.
Yeah, no worries.
There's just some things I want to go over with you. So I know we kind of chatted over the phone about your strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I know you wanted to get out of the university bubble, but one of the things looking at the data and costs associated, I wanted to talk to you about, staying within that university bubble for a little bit. So we talked a little bit. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, so I took that to heart, and we were able to kind of really do this big push. We started tabling, increasing our sales on campus, and we were finally able to lock down kind of the final 2 major markets on campus and actually get our product kind of just across the university. So we're in the early stages of having our product in all those shelves and really trying to expand that as heavily as possible.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I just kind of want to go over some data points, some sales plan to even just grow that foothold on campus and continue to grow No Consequence.
Perfect.
So kind of looking at this data piece right now. So if you were to expand off campus, and that's one of the things that I wanted to look at was what are those costs going to be associated? So you have a lot of personnel costs, insurance costs, and obviously, your rent. So that kind of totals up to $4,476 on average. I use Salt Lake City averages. And looking at your gross margin per case of $12, I know you mentioned you were looking at that pallet a month frequency in order to justify breaking out. I would argue that it's a little bit higher and it's more that 1.79 pallets a month before you break that barrier. With that kind of information in mind, I was able to take the data that you were able to provide. And so right now you're selling per store, you're in on average 6.875 cases, sorry.
Yep.
And I just wanted to take into account, if you were to have that kind of growth per store, plus I included a 5% growth of stores overall because the more footprint you have of your product, the more students are going to buy.
Okay.
So there's around 20 stores on campus right now. And looking at that, you can estimate a volume of 300.15 cases a month. The one thing that this doesn't take into account is the marketing strategy, which we're going to talk a little bit about. I know you wanted to, when it came to more operation side of things, look at inventory tracking. So one of the things is Airtable. So that could be something to move past that Excel sheet. Have you looked at Airtable in the past?
A little bit. I mean, we've been kind of balancing our inventory software, see what we're doing. We just got into a new accounting software. We're kind of on a SaaS bend right now.
One of the cool things that I did during my research was that they have kind of that forecasting ability.
Okay.
And, you know, with your supply chain, and they have AI tools, which I know AI is like a buzzword, take it or leave it. But they have those tools for you to, you know, assess demand and stuff like that. And
Cool.
Really easy programming when it comes to integrating with Stripe.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to kind of share like a 4-step marketing plan for you. So first, obviously, and you've already started to do this, is to get into more stores. There's 20 stores on campus, and I think no consequence should be in all of them.
That's the goal.
So one of the things that you can do as a University of Utah student, you have your email. So all the buyers of these different stores have profiles and emails. And so I'll say take this with a grain of salt, but what you can do is you can go into their team's info page, click on their profile, and usually they have their mobile phone number on there. So again, I won't abuse that, but being able to have access to their mobile phone number and being able to get into contact with them, because I know some people just don't respond to email, especially when it comes to buyers who are getting millions of emails a day. That's a strategy to get connected with those buyers.
Cool.
So kind of the second part of that would be brand awareness. And so the first part would be tabling. And I say adopt a very, very aggressive tabling strategy. I mean, tabling 2 to 3 times a week, especially at the start of a semester, but also be very conscientious about tabling. So not just, oh, we're going to go table, show no consequence and whatnot, but we're going to table in a way that gets people to know the brand, to follow the brand, because obviously one of your goals is to get those followers. So being very decisive with what is your cost for tabling, and how are you going to get people to follow? Are you going to have a QR code that, you know, will give you a free energy drink, free swag or whatever to follow and maybe repost? And so that way you get that digital brand awareness too, which kind of goes into the third part, which is influencers. So when I say influencers, I don't necessarily mean like those big TikTok dancers or whatever that are on campus, but more so influencers in the sense that there are a lot of people on campus who just people inherently know, whether that be, you know, student body presidents or just really popular people. So getting those people to adopt your brand in a contractual way where they have to have certain deliverables, whether they have a large social presence and social media presence and are posting, or maybe they wear some of your swag, and being able to set those contractual obligations for maybe perhaps, you know, you give them 2 cases of no consequence a month, and you really get them to adopt the brand, and so the people around them can adopt the brand too, which kind of brings it full circle with this idea of videos. So when I say videos, is the one thing when we looked at your website and your Instagram, a lot of things that you were focusing on was the can and the product itself. And while that's great, you have a great product, you have a great can, a lot of people aren't going to be able to empathize with that.
Okay.
And during our research, one of the things that we found out was that a lot of people empathize and increase their willingness to pay when it comes to functionality behind energy drinks brands. And so you have a really good foothold here because your whole idea behind this energy drink is not crashing out. So being able to create content around that. So there's going to be 2 ways you can create content. You can do actually crafted content that showcases that, you know, scripted content where, you know, maybe it's finals week and someone has to do a bunch of finals, but they don't want to crash out, right? And showing those kinds of videos. But the other types of videos is going to be sort of lifestyle videos in the sense that you can really lean into the idea that you're a student entrepreneur and on campus. So when you're tabling and you're networking with people, set up a tripod, set up a camera, and it doesn't have to be a fancy camera, it can be a phone camera where you're getting this content and showing these videos across your social media.
Okay.
So that's kind of the 4-step program to market these energy drinks. Any questions with anything we've talked about?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's always kind of the $1 million question, trying to build out that social media. People have been really heavy on shorts, but is there a good balance between photos and videos? What does that look like for an Instagram page that's really going to take off?
Absolutely. So shorts are going to be kind of your main feed. You know, people who don't know, no consequence, especially people on campus, they're going to see those shorts, and that's going to be kind of what draws them in. So I absolutely think showing the photos of the can on people's feed who already follows you is great, because it, again, gets that digital footprint. But showing, really focusing towards those shorts, probably more 90% of the time, is going to be your best strategy. And one thing that we've done, we've taken a lot of content in the past couple of weeks since we've been filming, and my team has created a bunch of shorts for you to actually use for your brand.
Well, thanks.
So keeping up with that and keep developing those shorts is really what's going to set you apart and building a culture around your brand instead of it being the product itself.
Yeah, I like that. I think that we can really do something with that. I mean, especially just making sure that we're present on campus, but also, you know, kind of making ourselves available to Salt Lake, you know, soft launching the product for, you know, all of northern Utah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, honestly, you know, I've tried No Consequence as I've been editing this video. Funny enough, my coworkers have been actually watching parts of the videos, and they're actually very interested in No Consequence as well.
Oh, nice.
So you're getting people in Salt Lake to kind of know about it. And I think it has great potential. And I think, you know, this area and university is a great way to show proof of concept. So that way, when you do graduate and get it out of the University of Utah as a student, the energy drink can graduate too.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, yeah, we're rapidly approaching the end of my school year, you know, school time here. And I think it'll be great to, you know, move the drink off campus while making sure that we focus on, you know, where we started.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for, you know, taking the time in the past couple of weeks to film with us and, you know, provide that data and interviews, and we can't wait to see where you go.
Same here. I'm excited. This has been really helpful.
Perfect.
Thanks so much. Sometimes I feel like a weird founder because of how consistently nervous I look and act. And
Isn't that like a normal founder thing though?
Well, maybe. And it's also like I've got this like high energy a lot of the time. I'm not super like laid back. And so I worry that people just think that I'm like this like insane caffeine addict.
So it's just like you love your product so much, it's just like your water. You're just
like
always on edge.
I feel like I'm like a Rick and Morty character who owns an energy drink company because of how like it's just like it's not a real version of a person. Anyways, yeah.